there's always talk around the NWSL, we don't play enough games, it's not a long enough season. I'm like, come live it. Come live it for 1 year. 1 year. And then we can chat about that.
Whether you're on the field or not, you're a part of this group and you're special to this group and you're huge to our success.
I've said this a long, long time. I do believe you've got to be authentic.
Got the invite, can you come back the next day and take training? I was like, this never happens.
My dad said it for the first time, and in a while he just called to tell me he was proud of me, and I'm like, whoa, you just get so in the midst of things and you're like, oh my gosh.
I'm Christina, Unkel, and this is a Soccerish special. Throughout this year, Lori, Lindsey, and I had the special honor of talking to 3 extraordinary women who are changing the game, not just in coaching, but very much so in the NWSL. You'll hear their voices woven throughout, and I'll help you follow who's who. We meet Racing Louisville's Bev Yanez, Coach of the Year in the NWSL this year, Kansas City current assistant coach Freya Coombe, and the 3-time Coach of the Year of Seattle Reign, Laura Harvey. Act 1, Origins. Beverly Yanez.
You've got 26 players, you've got 13 staff members. I'm a mother of 2 children, and I'm a wife, and I'm trying to emotionally exert myself in all areas to make sure that I'm aware. Okay, this player needs this player needs that, this staff member needs this, my husband needs this, my children need that. Like, it's very overwhelming. It's incredibly overwhelming. And I don't think enough people talk about it. You're just trying constantly to find throughout a day where you feel so exerted to make sure that you could create the best environment, from the pitch to not on the pitch to in the offices to you never shut off. You never shut off. There's always something to do. There's always something to talk about. There's always something to get ahead of. There's always something to accomplish. So I think in that space, just trying to navigate myself and take a little bit better care of myself, because I so easily forget about all of that, because I'm in a mindset of I need to push this ship in the best direction possible so consistently. And then, okay, really quickly pause. Okay, I'm a mom, and here we go. And we're getting the food on the table. And then, oh my gosh, I'm a wife. Okay, you want to go on a date night? When should we go? So it's just like, it's this consistent, like, whoa, at times, to be, fully transparent. So it's massively overwhelming, but there's no other, there's nothing else I'd rather do.
Seattle Reign's Laura Harvey.
I invested in therapy. I'd never done that before. I started to do that this year. I work with an executive leadership coach. I'm just a lot of things away from like football that aren't like directly football. Because I think one thing that I've always said as a coach is, it doesn't matter if you are me, however I operate, or you're like the complete opposite of me. But what you need to be is consistent and be authentic, and to be able to live life through your authenticity. And when you get, like for me, when I get stressed or tired or I don't feel great, I can see myself being someone I'm not. And I'm like, that's not who I am, and I think it's enabled me to be me more.
Kansas City's Freya Coombe.
I knew I wanted to come to the US. I felt that the soccer landscape here was really great. I wanted the experience of living in a different country and living abroad. And then fast forward, I was on a B license course over here trying to get my US qualifications, and they were like, what do you want to do next? You show some great promise in here. And I was like, I want to get back in the pro game. I really enjoyed working with that level of player in England, but I don't know my pathway over here. And they said, well, there's a team near you, Sky Blue. We know the coaches. Why don't we go in and you can observe a session? I was like, brilliant. That sounds great to me. I want to go in. And it was at the time that they just fired all the coaching staff. So I walked into the session hoping to see, a top level environment and observe the coaches and things. And I walked into a goalkeeper coach who was trying to do goalkeepers, and the outfield players was struggling, had been on his own a couple of days. And he was like, can you just take a passing pattern with the team? I was like, okay. I came in to watch. If I was lucky, pick up a cone or two. And yeah, ended up, so day one, took a passing pattern. Then I got the invite, can you come back the next day and take training? I was like, this never happens. Okay, sure. And then the next day it was like, can you come to Portland with us? We play them on Saturday night. We'd like you to take the team. I was like, this is crazy to me.
There's always talk around the NWSL. We don't play enough games. It's not a long enough season. I'm like, come live it. Come live it for 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year. And then we can chat about that, because it's so mentally draining and so emotionally draining on the players, you know, like just take our August to October. You get on a flight, you fly to Kansas, you lose, you come home, you're playing a game 4 days later on the West Coast, you've changed time zones. Okay, great, we win at home, perfect. We get on another plane, we're going to Gotham. And, you know, it's a 5.5 hour flight, we're traveling 3 time zones. We stay on West Coast time when we travel east. We're going to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. We get up at 10 a.m., you know, and then we're doing it, and it's constant. So, yeah, it's just... You just sometimes just need time for yourself.
I'm taking a $16,000 loan out at 17 years old. And my dad's like, you're crazy to go play in the ACC conference for Miami, and going, well, okay, this is all they have to offer. And this is all I can afford. This is like my max, right? I'm paying this thing off for forever now. But I took the chance because I said, I'm going to do it.
Need a raise.
Right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to, at least at the end of the day, I've done everything I can. That if I fall short, I fall short, given everything.
I have to tell a little secret. I almost blew my shot at coaching in the NWSL. Because the Rolling Stones were playing at MetLife Arena.
I love it.
So, and I had a ticket, and I was like, I don't know if they make it to tour ever again. You know, they're certainly pushing up there. And although Mick Jagger's basically cast in vinegar right now and he's going to survive forever, I was like, they might not ever do this again. I was like, I can't go today, but I said I can definitely go tomorrow morning, and I'll arrive in Portland before you're at training. I can take training, that's no problem. So I just got the earliest morning flight after the Rolling Stones concert, got to Portland and coached a session, and then it was crazy, right? So it was the US had just won the World Cup. Everyone's coming back into Portland. It's the Welcome Back World Cup heroes. This is in 2019. So you've got Horan, you've got Tobin Heath, everyone's coming back to play. And it's like, right, do the game plan. How are you going to play Portland? Providence Park, packed, 20,000 people. So we coached the game, 1-1. It was amazing. We got battered the whole game, but managed to survive and drew 1-1, which was amazing. And yeah, didn't hear anything for a week or so, like flew back on my own, and it was like, okay, that's it. And then got the call, and it was like, can you come back and be the interim head coach for the rest of the season?
You just sometimes just need time for yourself and to take care of yourself. And honestly, I didn't do a very good job of that for a long time. And I've actually really felt like I've done a better job of that this year. Really invested just in resources for myself to make sure I can turn up every day and do the best job I can possibly do.
Act 2, experiment.
Obviously, I work with Vlatko, so defending is certainly now where my head's at. You know, I think in Angel City, you know, I wanted the team to play with the ball. We wanted to build out. We wanted to play through the lines. It was very much, when I was working with the team, focus on possession. And then, you know, I admit there probably wasn't enough detail. There was shape behind the ball. There was how we want to defend. But if I compare that now to the level of detail after working with Vlatko, and he is, you know, there doesn't come, I don't think, a better defensive specialist than him. But I've certainly learned, like, that's the most important. And once you can defend and you've got that stable base, then you can look to play. But I think, you know, it shows the success of the team this year. You know, people always talk about our offense and our attack and the great players that we have. But where this team's been amazing is just keeping clean sheets and being really hard to break down, especially in open play. And that's what I've really learned, is to help yourself get the best chance of success. It's defending, and that level of detail that he provides on both individual defending and team tactically defending is unreal. And I think that's been my biggest growth and the area that I've learned the most in since taking the job in Kansas City.
I wonder if ChatGPT could give you information about football, and it would be beneficial. And I wrote, like, one day, it was in the off season, I was like writing things into ChatGPT of like, what is Seattle Reign's identity? And it would like spur it out. And I was like, no, I don't know if that's true or not. And then I would like, what do you need to do to be successful in the NWSL? Like really broad questions. And then I put in, what formation should you play to beat NWSL teams? And it spurred out every team in the league on what formation you should play. And for 2 teams, I'm not going to say who they are because they'll know. The two teams, it went, you should play a back 5. So I did. I like, no joke, that's why I did it. I was like, let's just see. It was early in the season.
I can love it.
It was early in the season, and I was like, I said to the coaching staff, I'm not joking, this is what I did. And they were like, interesting. We researched it. We did like a deep dive on it. We thought about how we could play it. And we went for it, and we liked it. It worked. We won the game.
Oh, nice. That's what we were wondering.
And the age-old saying of you never know what it's like until you become a head coach it couldn't be more true. You don't know what it's like. And a lot of times I'm in this position and I'm constantly thinking like, as a player, I never saw this side or thought about this side. I thought about my contributions to the group, and that's all I felt I had the capacity for, right? But sitting in this office and thinking and having multiple conversations over things, you realize, wow, I didn't understand the depth whatsoever. Not that I was responsible to understand the depth. How could I? But I think that's a lot of like how I lead and how I try to manage is I don't expect the understanding, because now being in this position, I understand it completely different. So I don't expect the understanding. I think just trying to develop a good relationship with the group is really important. But I think it's just so different. And even as an assistant, you're trying to understand what would my way be, right? I'm learning things here. I'm learning things here. I'm learning do's. I'm learning don'ts. Who was I as a player that's influenced me to the way that I coach? Who did I play for that influenced me into the way that I coach?
You see the comparison between like London, right? And then you got your Barcelonas of the world, right? Just the different tactical nature of it. Our strength is it, but will that be like our downfall too if we don't get the technical side of it correct here?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot more technical players coming into the league. Like some of the kids coming in, we've got quite a few young players on Kansas City, and their ability with the ball is crazy. They spend hours practicing, and you can tell that, they've spent time with a ball, and whether it's in team environments or whether it's on their own, whether it's private trainer, no matter what it is, they're coming through and they've got a great technical level. But when I'm referring to the American player, and it's the mentality piece that is the impressive piece. It's we're going to win and compete to win and drive the standards. I think that's impressive. But I think what we're seeing now is we're seeing the global game. Definitely, it's more than just country by country. I think we're seeing the athleticism in Europe go up. I think we're seeing the tactical preparation of players increase in the US, and I think we're seeing that mentality standardized. As people are given a platform to really compete and to win on the greatest stages, and now we're seeing the audiences. I think that's fueling the mentality everywhere.
Act 3, authenticity.
I'm willing to adapt. Absolutely. I'm willing to evolve without doubt. I've joked a lot, like, I'm doing TikTok dances. What's that about? Because the players that I work with are young, and they, there's things that I don't relate with them on. And so I'm like, okay, my way of working is I like to relate with them off the field. Well, I'll watch The Summer I Turned Pretty. If you've watched it, it's the worst show in the history of mankind.
What's it called?
The Summer I
Turned Pretty. I haven't watched it either, but like the young players are like, it's the best show. It's the greatest show.
We watched the finale together as a group, and I bought in because it's something I can talk to them about, right? So little things like that. And it's not that I actually watched the show, interested in the show in the end. It's awful. And I would joke with them going, it's the worst acting I've ever seen. But it's like this phenomenon that they were all talking about, So you've got to evolve and you've got to adapt, but I am who I am, right? And again, like, I'm not going to be the standoffish, don't talk to me, I'm the boss. It's not who I am. And if I try and be that, they're going to see through it. So it all comes back to authenticity for me, but adapting and evolving within that, I think, is really important.
If you could give advice to yourself back in that day, what would that be for them?
Yeah, I've said this a long time. I do believe you've got to be authentic. Like, players read through you if you're not that way, like, so quickly. And whatever trust you've gained, you'll lose.
How do you balance having a lot of people who used to be in charge now being that support for you, and even vice versa?
Yeah, and I think it's allowing them to grow in the spaces that they want to grow into. I think part of managing a group is always managing your staff as well. And I think understanding what are their goals, what are their ambitions with the sport as well, and also bringing in people that you trust. You trust them enough that their voice is heard in front of the group. I'm a big believer in, if I feel it needs to come from a different voice, I'm okay with that. I think it's really important. I think they can speak to different players in the group. From hearing the same voice and a repetitive message sometimes coming from someone else can have just a little bit of a different influence or a different impact. And I think just understanding kind of what their goals are allows you as a coach to help give them opportunities to lead in different ways. I've always been a firm believer in creating an environment where people are impactful in it, not just there to be in it. I think it's, again, the main piece, and everybody says it, bring in a staff that you trust, and it's such a cliche comment, but it couldn't be more true. When you have people that you trust, you can give them so many things to contribute to the environment, whether it's they're taking the recap this week, whether it's they're taking a unit meeting, we've gone over the 4 clips, and you're fully aware that they're going to get everything that you need out because they know exactly how you want to protect the box. And it's aligning yourselves as a group, right? As a staff, just consistently aligning, even if it's, and I think I've been so lucky with that and so grateful for that is, even if we use different language, they're trying their best to adapt to the language that, I like to use in the environment. And I think it's finding people that are selfless, vulnerable enough to be able to do that, and still be in a position to use their knowledge and still grow, to hopefully become what they would like to within the environment and beyond that, right? I'm not a believer in bringing people in to just keep them in a certain bucket. At some point, they will outgrow it. And what that looks like for them is so important. So yeah, it's just been building a staff that you trust. And I'm a quite, at least I think, I hope that people would say that about me because I think this of myself. So let's hope that's the case. I'm quite a vulnerable leader. I'm okay to say when I've got it wrong. I'm okay to say, look, I'm human too, right? I'm not always going to get it right, but I try to create and foster environments where people feel very similarly in that sense, right? Players are not always going to get it right, but I have a duty to not only help them grow within the game, but help them grow outside of the game as well. Once like I said, I hope that it lasts very long for every individual because it's so fun to be a professional athlete. But at some point that comes to an end, right? And what that looks like in the future for them and what those lessons feel like in the future for them, I very much so value. So I like to be very vulnerable and like, this is who I am and I'm not going to get it right. But I'm going to do my best to make sure that I can make the best decision possible with all the information and everything that I have.
What's incredible here is like our ownership group where they're investing in the facilities, and it certainly is that if you build it, they will come. We built that Women's Purpose Stadium. It's the first in the world to do so, and now it's a sellout every week where people just want to come and experience that atmosphere. And I think we're seeing some great attendances in the league. I think it still can obviously improve, but I think that we're certainly seeing that rise, and we're seeing it in England too, which is great. And we've just got to keep investing and to keep seeing it.
Act 4. Laura Harvey on the NWSL's future.
Where do you see the NWSL going? What is the next step? I mean, obviously we have 2 teams coming in, right? So there is expansion. I know that you have also mentioned about getting unionized on the coaching side, but in general, where are you seeing or do you think the growth for the NWSL is next?
I think it's been in a transition. I'm just going to talk about on the field. I think the league's been in a transition. I think the influx of young players has changed the narrative and the dynamic of how things look and operate. And I think that, you know, we're an example of that. Portland are an example of that. Maybe Angel City are quite young. Like there's some teams that are very, very young. And I think what's great about that is, like, I look at our team and go, okay, imagine we can keep this core together for 3 years.
Yeah.
This could be amazing. And I think that is, I'm not saying every club needs to do that or has to do that, but I do think that that is a really unique and new thing for our league. We didn't used to have that.
Yeah.
Do I think, I think we've come away from loyalty, honestly. I don't think you're going to see a Pino, Jess and Lou again. I don't. I hope Jordan Buggs stays with me for 12 years. I hope that, but I'm just not sure the landscape is that way now. But I do think that we, as a league, need to really focus on our teams. Like, I think for a long time we've focused on players, individual players. We've promoted ourselves through the eyes of a Trinity Rodman, a Mal Swanson, a Soph Wilson Smith, I was going to say Smith, Naomi Gurma, whoever it was. I think we really need to focus on who we are as teams, because the reality is the landscape is shaped now where they may not stay forever.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Yep. Like, I'm okay with that. I believe they'll come back. I do believe they'll come back. One day they'll come back.
Yep.
And they'll come back when we make it feel like it's somewhere they should belong, you know? Yeah. So the only way we're going to do that is by promoting who we are as teams and really buying into that. Obviously, all the things around the CBA and the standards and how we operate daily and what your daily environment looks like, we need to continue to make them be the best they can possibly be. And keep challenging ourselves on that behind the scenes to give the players the best training environments, off the field resources, travel, all of that stuff to enable them to be the best players in the world. And I think that we'll see that. I think we'll continue to see that, both American based, and I think we'll continue to attract the best players from around the world. I do think that still stands true. I probably said this in 2013, and I still think it stands true that we will attract. We just have to do it in maybe different ways than we used to.
I think that's the best answer I've actually heard from that, right? Because whenever a player moves, right, we talk about Lissa Thompson, and everyone's like, oh, Mayday, like the world's going to fall, Chicken Little, and it's not.